We're going.
All right, we are actually recording. Yeah, welcome to another episode of Drop Third Strike with myself, Terry Gant, and my co-host, Beth Davies Stofka.
Stofka, well done.
All right. I always forget that part. Like nobody somewhere along the way, like you hyphenated, or maybe you were always hyphenated, but I think when I met you, you weren't hyphenating, and now you're hyphenating. I have to remind myself you're hyphenating.
That is correct. In fact, Beth Davies Stofka is actually what you might call my nom de plume, which she said with an American accent, where it's like my writer's name. What do you call that? Like a writer's alias. That's kind of what that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when I started writing, for various publications, Beth Davies is like this super common name anywhere in the English-speaking world, right?
Sure.
So is Elizabeth Davies. Like there's got to be 600 million of us.
Okay.
We dominate the English-speaking world, I think, the Anglo world. So, but there's nobody on the planet whose name is Beth Davies Stofka. Just me.
Just you. All right. Makes sense. Go with it.
I think there's only about a dozen people in the entire planet whose last name is Stofka.
Right. So, 2 of them live in your house.
Yeah, 2 of them in our house. Most of them, my husband and his brother are responsible for.
Okay.
Because they liked having children, for sure. Yeah. Actually, that's not.
There was a slight pause there.
If my husband's children are listening, which they're not, there's only 2 of them. That's so crazy, but they've had children, so there's 3 grandchildren. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
And are they not following our podcast?
I don't think so. No.
They haven't joined the Legion. They've not joined the Legion of Fan yet.
But we have 2.
Right. No, I think we have 5. I think we're up to 5. Yeah, I think we're up to 5.
What did we do last time that gave us 5?
I have no idea, but after you put up the last episode, I went and looked, and I believe we have 5 official fans.
Okay.
So we are growing.
That means if we keep going and we add the same amount every week, like week over week, if we add 3, we'll be huge in like 5 years.
We will, or we can just have double digits by the end of the season, which will also be incredible.
Okay. We'll go for that.
We can go with either just double it, or we can go exponentially, and then we've got masses.
Masses, right? Yeah.
Either of these things, we can do that.
We're that amazing. I have a production question for you.
Okay.
After viewing our last episode, what did you like better? Were the camera switches from you to me, depending on who's talking, or with us side by side?
I think I like when it switches. Although, like while recording it, I never even notice it. So, like when we're recording, all I see is you, right? But then I think that there's a setting you can hit where the camera would switch. I think for a viewer, it might work for it to switch for the speaker, if you're watching.
One of these days I'll sit down and I'll find a Zoom user's guide and I'll see if I can figure it out.
See if it works out.
Yeah, see if I can.
How was your baseball week?
My baseball week, it was super thin. I had an overwhelming week at work, in part because it was the first week of classes.
Oh, sure.
And that's always got a lot of attendant extra work attached to it. And I put in 12 to 14-hour days.
Okay.
I want to say I haven't had a day off since we talked last, but I did. I took annual leave on Tuesday and basically did whatever I wanted to do. So I can't complain about that. And I saw a White Sox game that Giolito pitched, and he was having that post-complete game lag.
Post no-hitter blues.
Blues, yeah.
Every hitter, I think every pitcher who pitches a no-hitter should immediately miss their next start.
Yeah, they should, yeah.
Because every time someone pitches a no-hitter, you could almost guarantee that next outing, something not right is going to happen.
Yeah.
They're not pitching 2 in a row. So, yeah, you should probably just sit that guy that next week,
Oh, no, you should send him to, like, the beach or something.
Yeah.
Really just clean out the pass.
Yep. Yeah, he got his no-hitter. Don't make him think about it again. Because I'm sure everybody thinks, ooh, can I do this again? And then you don't just get a hit. You give up like 4 or 5 runs is what happens. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You're just not the same.
Yeah. And the White Sox, well, I love them. The outfield seems to me that it has had a few days when it is not electric. And I don't like when it's electric, it is electric, right? But I don't know who's the catalyst out there. Like, who is it that makes them, like, who doesn't show up when they seem flat? Who is it that did not make them not flat, or who flattens them?
I think for the White Sox outfield, the engine of it effectively is Luis Robert, right?
Yeah.
But he's a rookie, so like you can't expect Luis Robert to get everybody completely up and psyched and ready to like be amazing defensive outfielders, because they're not amazing defensive outfielders, right? Yes. Luis Robert's really good apparently, but Eloy Jimenez, he'll get there, right? Like that's really where you can play him. You can play him in the outfield, right? That's what he is. He's an outfielder, but he's not like spectacular at it, right? Luckily, like Luis Robert is covering a lot of ground out there, you know.
Yes,
that's kind of what it is.
And he's amazing. So somebody from within the team in the team leadership role would have to get those guys like really up and into it. And you know, you can even do it like during the day, but that's a lot to put on one person. Like the whole team is now your responsibility.
Right.
So,
right.
So who does that? Like who would you, if you were in charge of a team, who would you put in charge of making sure that everybody was stoked before they go?
I would have like a captain of the infield and a captain of the outfield, and it's also like it's the manager's job too to make sure everybody's ready to go. And this is one of these things too. My Ricky Renteria problem is always like, I don't want Luis Robert missing games.
Yeah.
I don't want there to be games in which like you know Jose Abreu just isn't really on. You know what I mean? Like I don't want anybody really wondering what happened to Yohan Moncada. I want everyone up on that team every day. Because there's so many young guys on that team they go the way their attitudes go. So you need everybody completely psyched up the entire time. Tim Anderson goes out in the infield, and I want him just like, pumping those dudes up because they have a chance at being really special. And then I want like Luis Robert to be doing the same thing in the outfield, because that left field is going to be kind of a rotating cast for next year or two. But like for sure, Eloy Jimenez is going to be in right, and Luis Robert is going to be in center. Right. So whatever happens, it has to be those two guys probably really carrying the bulk of the energy for that team. Right. Your catcher is going to be keeping your pitcher involved. One of your infielders has to be keeping the rest of the infield involved. And one of your outfielders has to be like just making those guys think they can catch anything. Right.
Right.
Like you can't just have them out there just being like, boy, don't hit it to me today. Right. Or everybody hit it to Luis. Everything to Luis. Don't hit anything to me.
Yeah, right.
You don't want them really thinking like that. You want them thinking like, there's outfielders like Adam Eaton and guys who are just really good outfielders by virtue of the fact that they were running headlong into everything to get a ball, right? Yeah. They're not stylistically, they're not like super smooth with it. Kenny Loftons of the world were just so smooth as outfielders, right? Yeah. Some guys just make plays, but you really want them always thinking that they're gonna make a play. You don't want them hoping that hopefully I don't mess this up. You still got a big power hitters thinking you could tell they're thinking I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess it up. Please don't let me mess this up.
Reminded me of this was tell me if I got this name right, because I was thinking about this guy this past week, and I think his name was Aaron Rowan.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Aaron Rowan, like running the walls and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking about, because I was remembering how he'd gone to the Phillies and he'd been campaigning with the team saying, you got to do something about this wall out here because it's dangerous.
Yes.
Broke his nose on it.
Broke his nose on the wall, in fact. Running straight into it.
He ran straight into it, Yeah, I remember that. Really clearly, because it was, I don't think I was watching the game. I think I saw it on Baseball Tonight highlights, right? But
yeah.
They showed it 100 times. And
he was running to catch a ball, and he reached out for the ball. And as he was catching the wall just happened to come out of nowhere and just smash his face.
That's right.
And it was unavoidable because he wasn't running in a way that so that he could slow down at the wall and kind of curve his pattern, curve his path. He didn't do that. He kind of was running like that. If it was like this, that would have been different, but he just kind of smacked it and sort of rolled off of it. And he broke his nose on it.
Yeah, he did. There was no chance for a glancing blow. That was full on.
Yeah.
Right into it. Yeah. That was a guy who was committed to making a catch. I would say legendary for it, except I couldn't remember his name until just now. But still, his actions, and maybe that's a part of
it's legendary in that when you think about guys who crashed into walls, Aaron Rowan's name always comes up. It's the first guy you think of. Because it was recent, and he got annihilated by the wall. So there's that. My baseball week includes a lot of Ian Happ hitting a lot of home runs. Like Ian Happ is like, the Cubs are like in a weird sort of situation, right? Like they are in first place in the division, but they are not necessarily high up there in the list of RBI hitters, and they're not high up in the list of run scorers in a way. Like they're guys who win games, but not like traditionally in terms of like people producing in the heart of your order, right? Like they have underwhelming performances by almost everyone from second, third, fourth, and fifth hitting, right? In the order. Like Ian Happ is hitting a lot of leadoff. He's producing. Everybody else is just making things happen. But I suspect it's all like making things happen at timely times. Like not things happening consistently, but things that were positive did happen in the game.
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of weird. But so as long as Ian Happ is around, it's like that guy's going to like make a thing. It's going to work. You know, he's going to do his job. Yeah. The problem is like this is the first year he's been able to consistently do his job. So it's kind of incredible seeing all this. You know? I find it great. The other day he fouled a ball off the back into his eye. Like he hit the top of the baseball went down, hit the plate and came right back up in the eye. So he kind of got bruised around the eye, but it looked really like, oh man, this dude was having such a good year. This could be really bad, you know, if he takes that ball the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
But he came back yesterday and hit 2 more damn home runs. So
wow,
Ian Happ is still on fire.
Wow.
Did you know what today is? Today is a very particular baseball record day. On this day, 25 years ago, Cal Ripken Jr. broke the consecutive games.
Oh, I saw all the articles that helps because I saw all these articles at MLB.com about Cal Ripken Jr. and I thought, what, did he die?
Yeah, no, still alive.
Because it seems like that's who gets all the spicy coverage these days are the people who died. And so,
right.
And I don't mean like Tom Seaver because that was that happened this week too, right?
Yeah, Tom Seaver died. Yeah.
But actually, that is what I mean. Like, we were saturated with Tom Seaver coverage, which is appropriate. But then we got saturated with Ripken Jr. coverage. I thought, oh, so he died too. And then
he did not die. They're doing some weird thing today where there's a virtual first pitch that Cal Ripken is throwing to his grandson who's playing.
Yeah.
I think he's got a grandson playing now or something.
That would make sense, though. I mean, really? Yeah, that would kind of make sense.
He played 2,632 straight games.
Yeah.
I was listening to the radio today, and they were talking about, like, the next closest guy is Whit Merrifield. Mm-hmm. Whit Merrifield has played, like, 200 and some odd something, like, consecutive games. For Whit Merrifield to break Cal Ripken Jr.'s streak, they have to play for the next 14 and a half years.
Without taking a break. That is really stunning when you think about it. I think 25 years ago, I thought, oh, that guy is so cool. But now I'm thinking about how he carried that streak through his later years. Yeah. And that, to me, that's like incredibly impressive, whatever he was doing to keep his body not in shape. They're all, obviously in shape. But
and I wonder if a lot of it is also like someday he just showed up and just played. And another guy's probably thinking a lot of just, don't hit it to me. Yeah. Today I don't have it. Don't hit it to me.
Yeah. Well, nobody would because he was Cal Ripken Jr. I will do whatever you say, sir. Yes. But even if he does that, like, when does he recover? So you have a day where you feel good, you have a day where you feel bad, you go on out anyway. But most of us do that because we know we got a weekend coming up, or a semester break in the case of a teacher. I mean, there's something coming. Right. It's going to give you a break. Whereas in baseball, there's always this is so great because if you have a bad day, there's always tomorrow. But also, like, the downside is there is always tomorrow. Right. That to me, like, I don't know if you ever have to bounce back from a like, for me, like from a bad knee day or something like that, where I have to.
It feels like that sometimes, right? Like you have to. One day your knee just isn't right, or your back is bad, or whatever, and you're like, well, I still got to go to work. Yeah. So how do I deal with this? Yeah. But you need a day to, like, not use your knees a lot.
Yeah, just to be kind to them, And but so it would be fun. It would be fun to find out what his mentality was around that, and compare.
He's probably very happy when they invented one of those, the lock-in oxygen table or whatever.
Oh yeah.
The hyperbaric chamber. I bet he used that, like, at some point. But he played from, like, 1981 it says he started in 81. So like there was none of that stuff around in 1981 when he started, you know, and then he played until 2001.
Yeah.
So yeah, by the time 2001 came, there was probably some technology that was very helpful. There was so many technology people were using to stay in the game anyway, you know, various pills and creams and injections.
That's right. And now there's so much technology now, almost 20 years later, that actually if Whitfield really put his mind to it, he could probably pull it off.
He probably could. I don't know if he want to do it for the Royals, but
well, the thing is, for whoever will have you, because there's also that too. Like, his Cal Ripken Jr.'s team really wanted him, you know, and that's another way that you make that streak. You know, if you can't make that streak at all, if you're just going to get, you know, DFA'd or traded or sent home with a note to your
Legion of Fan. DFA means designated for assignment, which is like a weird sort of title to have happen to you because you're not actually designated for assignment. You're just fired. Like, you aren't assigned anywhere. You're assigned to take your ass home is what it means. And this is because baseball players' contracts come with options. And the options are basically, we have X amount of options to send you back down to the minor leagues at some level, right? So let's say you've got 5 options. There are 5 times in which we can send you to AAA, AA, single A, wherever we feel like we need to send you. High A, you know, we can send you wherever we have to send you if we feel like there's a roster spot necessary to open up, or you need a little more like seasoning. Like you need to see some more like curveballs that you can swing at and learn to hit instead of making outs on our major league team. You know, there's that. But then when it's designated for assignment, the assignment is designated to find your car in the parking lot. Don't bother coming to the team hotel, buddy. It's been real, right? And it's like, it doesn't mean you're necessarily completely out of the game, because somebody else, I mean, if this happens to some players, another team might have always liked you. They just couldn't have you because you were signed by someone, right? So when you're DFA'd, it means, hey, all right, do you want to play for your hometown team? They may have space for you. Yeah. You know? Sometimes it works out that way.
Yeah.
You know? Whenever I see it, I feel bad for a guy, though.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, Legion of Fans, you might as well. Yeah. I mean, if you're following baseball and if you're really, well, we'll help you. Or
at least following us. Yeah, we'll follow baseball so you don't have to.
Yeah, we will help you follow baseball. But yeah, when somebody gets like sent back to AAA, that's when you kind of start making your, you know, line, you scratch mark on the wall, and then you're going up to those hash marks. What do you call that? Like the little that's where you get the 5.
As if you're in jail. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're out.
The funny thing too about the option situation is that like there are some players who they're out of options. The team isn't about to DFA them. They're just kind of stuck with them, right? They have to find some form of production with this guy because they can't let him go, right? They have so much invested in him, and they don't want some team in the division to get the guy. So now he's on the major league roster, and you just got to deal with it. You know, you got to live with it. I think this is what Albert Almora of the Cubs was dealing with for a while, because it's just something not quite right about him. He's like a good defensive outfielder. He's an okay hitter, but he could probably be a better hitter if he could just get out of his own head. Yeah. This year, they were able to send him to their alternate training site, which isn't the same as sending him to the minor leagues because there's no more minor leagues, right? Like there's no minor league season this year. So when I saw that they sent him to the alternate training site, I was like, well, basically Ian Happ is what took his job, you know? But he has to keep his head right because he's got to just wait for an opportunity. Like one pulled hamstring and you're playing for the next 3 weeks, you know? So you just got to be ready, you know? That's how it always is. I made some notes about some things that happened in baseball.
Okay, but I want to the capstone to my baseball week was unexpected and surprising. And it's along the lines of explaining baseball. So when I was a kid, one of my favorite television shows was the Bob Newhart Show, and to the point where Bob Hartley and Emily Hartley were like, you know, I love them, and I even had cats named Bob and Emily at one point. So I love the Bob Newhart Show.
You give all of your cats people names?
Yes, I do.
I've known you to have one particular cat that had a people name.
Yeah, that was.
I did not realize giving them people names was a thing.
It was a thing, yeah. Yeah, our first cat was named Mo, And
Okay.
and then we had Bob and Emily, and
Okay.
and then we had kind of like a hanger on for a while. So we named him Jerry because there's Jerry Robinson, who was the orthodontist who was in the same floor of the medical building as Bob Hartley, the psychologist. And so more that's TMI maybe, and but very funny. And then Bob and Emily died like 5 days apart from each other, and we were like almost immediately offered this chance to adopt a couple of kittens. And so we got Bonnie and Davy. We got them at the same time. Bob and Emily were brother and sister. Bonnie and Davy were brother and sister. And you probably heard me talk about Davy like almost constantly because he was
absolutely
like my spirit companion or something.
Yeah.
But loved those two. And their names, I'd actually had already decided that I wanted to name a cat Bonnie because to me the name is just so pretty, and it means pretty and sweet and funny and easygoing and gentle, and
But you gave that name to a cat.
I gave it to a cat.
It was like a tiny predator living in your house.
Exactly. But she turned into that. She literally was a very Bonnie kitty. And and we got I never did name Davy. My husband Steve named Davy because my grandfather was a boxing champion in England. And his nickname was Davy, as in Davy, right? And
could he hit a curveball?
I don't think he ever played baseball. I think it was boxing and it was tap dancing. He did those two things very well. And but Davy walked kind of in this really pugilistic fashion. I mean, he would just like put shoulders together and, and he always like stomped around like this. And Steve noticed this and said, we should name him after your grandfather. So we named him Davy. So that's how we got Bonnie and Davy. And Bonnie died in October. She was 18.
Okay.
And so that's when we got the kitten in December. And we named her Noelle, actually, for being a Christmas kitty. But we call her, it'd be weird to call her Noelle, Sure. And that E sound at the end of names is apparently something that cats hear and respond to really well, which doesn't explain Bob. Bob was really special cat. So that's the story of my cat.
Bob just knew you had the can opener key. Like you could open a can opener. Bob doesn't really care.
Bob was like this cat that would sit up on top of the fridge, and he was so chill. That cat didn't have, like, you always like see cats are kind of like, maybe they're neurotic, maybe they're kind of like all the time, or they're hunting and killing. And Ellie's all of those things because she's kind of a scaredy cat. She had to live outside for, as a husband for a bunch of weeks. But Bob would just sit up on top of the fridge and just squeeze his eyes at the world. He was so chill. That cat, wow. Yeah, we would.
Is your kitten sleeping in the closet now?
She's in the closet. Yeah, we missed her by about a half hour. She was trying to climb up my leg just about a half hour ago.
Okay, all right. Someday, Legion of Fan, you're going to see this cat.
Yeah, someday we're going to have the cat. Yeah.
There was this other time in which you had the cat, but then we weren't recording when we thought we were.
That's right.
It was a near miss.
So the Bob Newhart Show. So that's on Hulu, and I watch it. I watch an episode every night when I go to bed. And so episode Legion of Fan, if you have Hulu, and you can bring up the Bob Newhart Show. It's episode 22 or 23, I think, of season 1. And it's the episode in which, I was not prepared for this, Bob Hartley, Dr. Robert Hartley, treats a star pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. And I can't remember his name. It's fictional, obviously, but I guess he was having okay, so this is not realistic, but he pitches this complete game shutout. No, I think it was just a complete game, or it was both. And afterwards in the tunnel, the reporter is asking him about the quality of his performance, and he said, well, I guess I can tell you now. I've been seeing this psychologist. I had a few personal problems, and he really sorted me out, and I just can't thank him enough. In Chicago, his name is Bob Hartley, and so next thing you know, Bob Hartley shows up at work the next day, and there's another guy waiting for him, and this is Moose Washburn, catcher for the Chicago Cubs, who is benched and is hitting 183. I'm telling you all of this because, first of all, if you can see it, they got a lot of humor. I was laughing a lot. And I mean, Steve noticed it. I didn't even notice. And the other thing, though, is that it assumed so much baseball knowledge.
Okay.
Couldn't get over it. Like, they didn't try to explain to you about 183. And there might have been
why 183 is good or bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, these days he might still be playing with a 183 batting average.
Yeah, well, he got
batting average doesn't matter so much anymore.
You know what really blew my mind, because this is 72. At the end of the show, spoilers, Moose gets traded to a Japanese expansion team.
Okay. Damn.
I didn't even know that was a thing in 72. So it was impressive to me, first of all, how funny it was. Second of all, that they didn't have any need to explain baseball to anybody watching. Like, you know, America, this was the origin of that must-see TV night. On I think it was CBS, and it was Saturday nights, and it was that must-see TV lineup, and the Bob Newhart Show was one of them. They didn't explain baseball to anybody. It was just all assumed. And players are being traded to Japan in 72. I think
this is the thing that can still happen. Like, you could send a guy. I think you could technically still do this. Managers can be traded. You know, which is bizarre. Yeah, you can trade managers. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened. You know, you could send people places if you so inclined. You know, if you just happen to be like, I can't stand this guy, get his ass out of here. Send him to Kansas City. Just anywhere. Get him out of here.
They did a whole bit in Bob Newhart's office when Moose first shows up for a psychology appointment, where Bob asks him for his address, and he starts to give his address, and then he says, no, that was my address in San Diego. Oh, that was a nice place to live. And by the time he goes to like 5 different places that he's lived, and he's making these jokes about how many times he's been like this in this totally faithful marriage, except for those 5 times. And anyway, it's a really great bit, because you know, he goes on and on about all these things that happened to him and all these different places that he lived, all these places he'd been traded to, because he'd been kicked around a lot. And then he asked Dr. Hartley, he says, okay, so when am I going to get to my problems? And he said, actually, we're still just trying to get your address. Yeah, so that was 72. So I recommend it, and I loved it. I don't think you could have milked baseball for that kind of humor on a sitcom anymore. It would have to be like, you know, Brockmire, where you know that the people watching it are baseball fans.
Yes.
In a general public kind of a sitcom, you'd have to explain baseball to them to make your jokes.
Yeah, probably so. I think you might be right.
Yeah. So that was.
And a lot of times, also, I think another problem in baseball would be like, in that show, they had to make a fictional player to have these problems, to tell those jokes. Here, they would try to use a real player, but they use a real player almost nobody knew, because just about nobody knows baseball players outside the people who live in the city where that player plays.
That's right.
You know? Yeah.
That's right.
There was a conversation this morning about Steve Stone was talking about who he thought the MVP this year someone on the White Sox should be in serious contention for the MVP, and it's Tim Anderson, right? Because without Tim Anderson, the White Sox are not in first place, and they probably wouldn't be contending, you know, for a playoff spot to possibly go further into playoffs once the playoffs begin without Tim Anderson. It doesn't mean that Tim Anderson is the best player in the league, because he's not. Mike Trout's the best player in the league, but the Angels are in last place.
Right.
They're dead last. So, like, being in last place and having the best player in the league is entirely possible, right? But if you're the player that is absolutely keeping your team in it and is doing everything that needs to be done when it needs to be done, that's an MVP kind of thing right there. You are the most valuable player, which it is hard to imagine, but I think that once Andre Dawson, I think it was 1987, Andre Dawson won MVP, and the Cubs finished dead last. He hit like 50 home runs and like 140-something RBIs. Andre Dawson kicked everybody's ass. It was the first year he was a Cub, coming over from the Expos, and he just destroyed the National League that year, right? But he did it while the Cubs gave up a bunch of runs and just beat nobody, right? So he was clearly the MVP, at least the way the voters saw it. But ever since then, you can't be MVP on a losing team. It's just not a thing that happened. I don't think it's happened since, you know. But
I did not know that. So what does Mike Trout get in terms of instead of MVP?
Fat paycheck. You know, he gets the golf early. You know, he just had a baby like in August. In late August, Mike Trout had a baby. He gets to hang out with his kid. You know, and those playoffs start. He ain't got to be there. Yeah. You know, he can go wherever the hell he wants, do whatever the hell he wants, enjoy being a dad. Like he's like he every day he comes and does exactly what he's supposed to do. Yeah. But he can't pitch and catch it. You know. Yeah. That's really it. He can only hit for himself, right? He can't hit for other guys on the team. Like part of my thinking about what the problem really is with the Angels is that the Angels have Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon, which is fantastic, but they also have Albert Pujols.
Right.
And Albert Pujols is a dude who just hasn't decided to walk away yet, who probably kind of ought to should,
yeah.
right? Like that's a guy. That's an example of there are no options, right? You can't send Albert Pujols somewhere, right? He is a grown ass man who ain't going to the minor leagues and will retire when he decides to retire or at the end of his contract, right? Yeah. And as long as his contract is going, they're paying him Albert Pujols money, which is a lot of money at this point. They got that guy and signed him to a big fat contract. And I think he was older than we thought probably when he got to the Cardinals, right? And he's been around a long time. And I think he's kind of for production wise, they love that guy. I love him, but he's really taking up a spot in that lineup that I think somebody else ought to be. And Shohei Ohtani, their Japanese free agent from like a couple years ago, is a good hitter, a good outfielder, and he's a really remarkable pitcher, and he does both. And I think when he came over, he only came over because they agreed they would also let him pitch. Yeah. I think that was a mistake, right? Yeah. Because he ended up having Tommy John surgery, and that limits your playing time for sure. Like, it limits your playing time for pitching. But if you're also an outfielder, now you've lost a pitcher and an outfielder.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the Angels are constructed in this weird-ass way in which they have some pieces, right? And they have some older pieces that they need to not be having, right? And that's why they're in last place, you know? I'm pretty sure there's an Upton playing for them still.
Has Trout hit free agency yet?
Absolutely not. Okay. Well, I think he let me look, actually. I'll double-check that because I think he might have – I know he got a big contract, which makes me think free agency was coming, and they headed that off by signing it.
That's what I thought too. And then he was instrumental in getting Ohtani there, and he was instrumental in getting Rendon there. And as much as I appreciated all that, I was mulling him over towards the beginning of the actual season instead of the former April season. I was mulling him over because I was trying to understand somebody who has that much skill and doesn't appear to be like totally driven to win, like just like out of your mind crazy. I want to win it all now. And then
which would mean he would have left the Angels.
Yeah. I don't understand. It's like he's not competitive in proportion to his skill. And I don't really understand that.
I think sometimes guys have like this idea that like they're being loyal, right, to the organization that brought them up, you know. But like if you think about what happened with let's say Manny Machado, for example, right? Manny Machado has Mike Trout level skill. Yeah. Manny Machado absolutely loved probably being an Oriole, but there was a point at which it was very clear he was not going to be able to get his $300 million that he was worth from the Orioles.
Right.
So he had to go someplace else.
Right.
Yeah, Mike Trout, in fact, last year signed a 12-year, $426 million contract with the Angels.
Yeah, okay, so that was probably the day they announced that was the day I was wondering why he's not more competitive.
I think that competitive, there must be like just different ways in which we think of competitiveness, you know what I mean? Like he is probably uber competitive, but he has 426 million reasons to not rock the boat.
There is that. And there's also, that's like another kind of competition too, because that was going on. Like first there was Manny Machado, there was Bryce Harper, there was Mike Trout, and I think there were a couple of other guys in between who were at least, but I think they were trying to one up each other's salaries. Yes. Right?
Because baseball does that thing where the owners say, we can't pay these exorbitant salaries, we'll go broke. And then they kind of collude to not do it. And then some owner goes, I ain't losing my guy. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
How many millions does that got to be? I can handle that.
Oh, you mean like $500 million? Well, all right. You know,
right.
I'm seeing the first $500 million player. How far are we from that?
Well, when does Fernando Tatis come up?
Yeah, right.
Because Mookie Betts just got re-signed, I believe. So, like, I mean, he's got a contract.
Yeah, he's got a contract.
Next best player in Major League Baseball, more than likely, is Fernando Tatis, right?
Yep.
And he's just his second year now. So when that dude's contract finally comes up, like, you're gonna find out if the San Diego Padres are actually a small market team or not, because they've got Manny Machado's contract, and then they're gonna have to sign him too.
That's true. Wow.
But I would have thought it was Chris Bryant, but Chris Bryant's last couple of years just haven't been like break the bank type years. He's a great player, but he's a great player who's got some injuries to deal with, and I think some other like mental shit too. You know, I think that part of it, you know, when in the media, players start hearing that they are basically the next best thing since sliced bread. and then you win MVP, Rookie of the Year, and the World Series in the same year, right? You kind of end up in a situation, or like within a year of each other. I think that was all within a year of each other. There's this expectation, right? And you just want to be a baseball player, right? You shouldn't have to hit 375 and 50 homers and 150 RBI to deserve your contract or like a spot on the team. Yeah. It ought to be okay if you're a 290, 35 and 110 RBI guy with 10 stolen bases.
Okay, yeah. So this explains Cal Ripken Jr. To me, this explains Cal Ripken Jr. is that it is one thing to say, my knee kind of hurts today and I have to play tomorrow and I have to play the next day. It's another thing to say, I'm really confused about who I am and how I'm supposed to perform. The pressure is really intense. That'll bring you down way faster than a knee. That will bring you down so fast, yeah. And so Ripken must have just never had any question about how awesome he was. He just knew it.
Baseball family. He comes from a baseball family, and he's not playing in New York, right? He's also playing. He's not playing in LA, playing in Baltimore. So going out into Baltimore and playing every day is a little easier on the way the media are going to treat you than if you had to play in Philadelphia where they hate everybody and everything.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. Or now, are the Cubs fans really hard on Chris Bryant, or is it just more just like the mind games of the media world?
I think that the problem in Chicago with Chris Bryant, like the most of the talk centers around him being an impending free agent, right? Like at some point, like he has like one more year or something like that. He had a grievance because the Cubs messed with his service time when he first got pulled up,
right.
Like it was stay down on the farm, even though he clearly made the team, right? Stay down on the farm. We'll call you up when you're ready, kid. You're not ready yet. But damn right he was ready, right? So they left him down in the 2 or 3 weeks so that they would get that extra year of control, right? It was bullshit. He knew it was bullshit. And he was basically, I think, to me, as far as I remember, the first player to actually file a grievance against his team for doing that.
Yeah.
So because if you're not up by a certain date in June, the team gets to control your rights for an extra year. So that's kind of where we're at. So we're coming up on, they got to figure out what to do with his contract. You sign that guy or you let him become a free agent. If you let him become a free agent, he's leaving, right? He has no reason to stay here.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking at the Angels. In Chicago, the fans love Chris Bryant, right? Yeah. He is beloved by the fans. He's beloved by his teammates. The question is just whether or not he's beloved by management.
Right.
Right. And it's the kind of management that will absolutely hit it with, what have you done for me lately? And knowing they have to choose between him, Anthony Rizzo, and Javier Baez, and Kyle Schwarber, and they can't keep them all.
Oh, true.
That's our issue.
Sure would want to, though.
Yeah.
What a great recipe.
Absolutely.
That's a great recipe for a dynasty.
Yep.
Odd that they wouldn't invest in that direction. And plus, you've got good guys too. Although maybe they don't feel like Anthony Rizzo is such a good guy right now because he had words, about Kenosha. He had words about Jacob Blake. And maybe they don't like him right now. But
like he's also Anthony Rizzo's also a guy who went to the high school in Florida that got shot up.
Yeah, exactly.
That was his high school, right? So he's spoken out about this before.
Yeah.
You wanted to shut up and just play baseball. Well, screw that.
Right.
Oh man, I feel bad about what I'm about to say about Justin Upton.
Okay.
Because I think that Justin Upton they might need to let him go too, but we share a birthday.
Oh hey. Hey, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I didn't realize that. We share a birthday. Damn it, I should love Justin Upton.
Yeah, you should.
And Justin Upton right now is hitting 189.
Ow. He needs to see Dr. Hartley.
Starting left fielder, hitting 189.
He totally although actually Bob Hartley did not help Moose Washburn get above 183, but that's only because they only had 3 sessions before Moose Washburn got traded to Japan. So
yeah,
I'm back to fictional Bob Newhart show now. But
that's fine.
You maybe need more than 3 sessions with a guy to fix your batting average. If it's like a mental thing. That would have been like a great spin-off series, like maybe after the Bob Newhart show with Bob and Emily finished. Yeah. It could have been Bob Newhart, sports psychologist.
Yeah. I'm looking at Albert Pujols is starting first baseman, and I already feel like we're aware that dude's already kind of, an older dude, and it might be time.
He's still going to look for his milestones, though.
And he's getting them.
Yep. That's going to keep him in there as long as he can keep going.
He's hitting 238.
Yeah. He's hitting what, 238?
238 with 3 home runs and 19 RBIs. And 3 home runs, you know, in 40 games from Albert Pujols, that's not going to help you win. But also, I'm looking at the starting pitching. They're like Andrew Heaney, Dylan Bundy, Griffin Cannon. They have a lot of like their starting pitchers are a bunch of like number 3 pitchers, right? Like they don't have there's no ace here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think Andrew Heaney is more than likely because they got that guy listed first. And I bet if I look him up, I'm gonna see an ERA I don't like. You know? Yeah. Yep. He has an ERA over 3.8. So he's almost got a 4, right? His ERA is nearly 4, right? And that's not gonna scare anybody. If that's your number 1 guy, this is why the Angels are in damn near last place. You know?
So how deep do those guys go into games? I mean, if they only like start for like 5 or 6 innings, that's not such a bad ERA. That's
not bad. But like I suspect that this year, I think everybody's starting pitchers are only going so far into games before we get to bullpens.
Right.
You know, particularly if you're not making the playoffs, right? So like if you're not making the playoffs, there's no point in you possibly injuring a pitcher who you haven't really stretched out.
Right. Hey, have you maybe you told me this already, but I think you might have mentioned, or you might agree, that this 60-game season is the season of the bullpen in a way that we've never seen before. Yeah. Because I was thinking like there's gonna be a lot of pitching to go around, but really, like it's going to come down to like no one wants to risk. You only have 60 games, and if a pitcher throws their elbow or messes up their shoulder or something like that, they're not out for like 10 days and then they're back and they're fine, right? It never works that way. You've only got 60 games. You got to take care of everybody. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So you're trying to find bullpen help wherever you can. Yeah. I don't think there's been that many like complete games even this year, right? Like guys who throw complete games are getting celebrated like they're world champions. Yeah, like Giolito. Yeah. Right? Well, he just threw a no-hitter. And, like, again, that's why I just sat his ass. Like, like, look, man, you've done 2 things for us that we really weren't expecting. You've thrown a no-hitter and a complete game. Yeah. Let's just sit you down so that you don't get hurt or hurt anything, you know. Yeah. And you struck out 13 while you were at it. I mean, come on. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Entirely. All right. So have I even let you get to your my weekend baseball list? Well, one of it was the Ian Happ thing, which I'd already mentioned, is that he basically is just the enemy of anyone pitching, right? If you see Ian Happ coming, just walk that dude right now. Yeah, exactly. Right? You have a better chance of walking him than getting him out. Also, Keston Hiura is a player for the Brewers. This kid is hitting every damn thing, right? And the funny part about Keston Hiura is every time I see him, I think, 1, he's got a great baseball name, right? Yes. 2, he looks like a guy who's tending bar in like a hipster dive bar. He looks like a complete hipster bartender. You look at this guy, right? It's like thin mustache, thin facial hair, right? He's in shape, but like he's probably cooler than everybody else on the team. Like everybody else is probably like a really like nice, good old straight-laced baseball guy. And this dude knows how to have fun. Yeah. Right? And you don't expect it. Like he just looks like a dive bar, like bartender, and I'm stunned that he's as good as he is. But like as Christian Yelich is the man on the Brewers, Keston Hiura is the player I give a shit about. Oh right? Wow! Because he's the exciting dude. Like he comes up and just makes stuff happen with his bat. He did that pretty much all week long. The Marlins got Starling Marte. Yes. And in his first at bat after that trade, he hit a home run. Right? Yes. Like that, which is always a cool thing. Like you go to a new team and bam, there you are, just immediately making an impact. I like seeing my Pirates make an impact everywhere. Yeah, yeah. Those Pirates. I think you also like Byron Buxton. Yes, I do. I like Byron Buxton a whole lot. Byron Buxton is preventing people from embarrassing the Twins no matter how hard they try. Byron Buxton is catching everything. He's the guy. He's running things down. He's flying around like Superman out there. Yeah. Like the Twins. Like I think I said before, I was never like a believer in the Twins. And I'm trying to become a believer in the Twins, but then something always gets in my way when I'm trying to believe in the Twins. And this week, the thing that I noticed that I couldn't unnotice, the Twins, when I see them on my screen, I don't realize it's the Twins. I think it's the Phillies. Wow. Because their uniforms are so similar. Oh,
They're
wow.
wearing the Phillies blue and red uniforms.
Yeah, that's right.
And it bothers me. I want the I want them back in like the.
I think the Twins had it first, and now the Phillies have like copied them. Like I think the Twins went first.
Were they blue and red like back in the day?
I think they were even last year. Not all the time though. They had a they have a selection, but yeah, that's one of.
I need the Twins to go back to their like brown and white and like softball uniform looking out.
They really should, yeah. I mean, the thing about the Twins, one of the reasons I really love the Twins and almost just like really pay attention to every season that the Twins play is that to me they are the perfect manifestation of the baseball team you would get if you ordered off the senior menu. So you would get, guys who hit for average. You would get, number 2 pitchers throughout, like spread all the way out. Every one of your pitchers would be a number 2 pitcher, right?
Yeah.
You have a closer with like a 5-5.
Just called the Minnesota Twins the senior menu.
Yes, I did, but that's because that's how it is. Like, it's not like more than you can handle, but it's enough to get you through to the next meal. And, and that's nothing that's going to like disturb you too much. And he's that's what Twins are to me,
That's amazing.
And so I almost like marvel at their consistency at being like that too. Like they're never like spectacular, but even when they're like at the bottom, they're still like kind of hitting for average.
Yeah.
And they have a pretty good fielding percentage and they have pretty good pitching.
I think my project for this week is to see if I can make an actual senior menu team. Like if every team gave up their oldest player, like we made one major league team where it's the oldest player on each team. What would that team look like? That's going to be my mission for this week. I'm going to research this. I'm going to find the oldest guy on every team.
Yeah, but they also have to be like the nicest guys too, because that's the thing about the Twins.
They probably will, because I think in baseball there's a lot of like red asses who are like in their prime, and then like that's why everybody hated AJ Przinsky unless he was on their team. You know what I mean? Because he was just always just too aggressive and too on. But then when guys get to the end of their careers, they realize, man, they just made a lot of people just not like them the entire fucking time. So they all of a sudden it's like now they're all nice guys. They're all like. Everybody's looking to them for information, and they're imparting knowledge to young dudes that they wouldn't have spoke to 5 years earlier. They're probably all nice guys, not that they're old dudes.
That's perfect, because they all have to kind of have the temperament and the demeanor of Joe Mauer, because he's literally the face of the Twins. I mean, that's just Joe Mauer, although he had some, really good skills for a while. He had such good seasons and got pounded out of it, basically. Such a shame. But leaving aside like cover of MLB The Show because you're that good, because the Twins are not that good ever. Right. That's not the Twins, senior menu team. Byron Buxton, see, he's like that, and you root for him because he always ends up having to leave because he got hurt. And so, but you see,
probably because he crashed into something.
Yeah, that or. Yeah. I don't know, like I almost wonder if he is built just a little bit wrong for baseball, although actually kind of perfect for baseball, and it's that middling thing again, that Twins, like he's almost like a perfect twin, because he's almost like a little bit too long in the torso, and I think that sometimes when he's running real fast, his hips and his obliques are at risk, and maybe if his shoulders move too quickly, in the other direction from his feet, then
you're an ethicist and a kinesiologist.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing a lot of work.
I'm looking at a picture of Byron Buxton, and he kind of looks like an action figure. Like his head is small, but his torso is big, and his legs are long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That takes a lot of it takes a lot of control to keep all the small ligaments, like working together as a whole. It just takes a lot of control, and the way he throws himself around, which is what he needs to do as a center fielder. Yes. I just think sometimes maybe it's a risk for him. So he's like brilliant, and then he has to go sit out for a while. And then he's brilliant, and then he has to go sit out for a while. And you root for him because you want him to be able to be brilliant all the time. Because when he is, oh man, he's brilliant. Right, so yeah,
he's won a Gold Glove and a Platinum Glove.
Yep.
I didn't know Platinum Glove was a thing.
Yeah, he's out of this world, really, especially when he is out of this world, and then he struggles to hit. It's almost like we really need you on.
Right now. He's hitting 238.
Yeah, that's about what he was hitting 2 weeks ago.
Well, wait, hold on, that might be. Home runs 43. I think that this is cumulative.
Yeah, it should be.
Look up what his actual I'll look up what his actual numbers are. Just a moment. I got a lot of tabs open, so I need the right tab there. Let me go back and forth.
You're the official researcher of Dropped Third Strike.
I like looking stuff up. Like, we're talking about a thing, and it's like, let's find out.
Yeah.
How old is Byron Buxton? He's 26, by the way.
For a Legion of Fan is that one of the things that baseball nerds really like to do is look things up. And and it's pretty incredible that I'm not looking anything up. That's pretty weird. But
and when we talk about batting average, and I say a guy's hitting 238, that is not very good. When we think about good, we want somebody hitting above 270.
Definitely.
Right, like 270, when someone's hitting like 265, you kind of feel bad for them, right? Like they're so close to 275. Damn it, just get over 270, right? Yeah. Somebody hitting 300 is great.
Oh,
somebody hitting 350, they're only doing that shit for like 2 weeks. Right. Like no one gets to do that for long.
Yeah, or something they did last night, Yeah.
Yeah. Here's Minnesota. Okay, I got the Minnesota page up. Let's look at the roster. I'll go to the depth chart. I like looking at depth charts. I love depth charts because depth charts tell you that there's a guy someplace who probably shouldn't be someplace, And in center field is Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton currently.
Yeah.
It's like this team has a lot of guys that I would not be listing and like, here's some baseball names I know. Right? It just doesn't seem like that.
Yeah.
He is hitting 238, yeah.
238.
5 home runs. In his career, he's hit 43 home runs total. But hits 5 home runs and 14 RBIs, and he's hitting 238 with 1 stolen base.
See, that shows you how often I watch Twins baseball. I think I've seen 4 of those 5 home runs.
But defensively, the dude's all good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You want him out there for sure. For sure. Is Marwin Gonzalez, he's still with the Twins, isn't he?
Marwin Gonzalez is with the Twins. I did just scroll past his name. He is the backup first baseman. They got him listed as a backup first baseman. And backup third baseman as well, behind Josh Donaldson at third base and behind Miguel Sano at first base. Okay, and I can see why Marwin Gonzalez is backing up because Josh Donaldson is now a Twin. So there's your starting job. He took your job, and Miguel Sano came around. So
But we see Marwin Gonzalez anyway because Donaldson was hurt for a while. And Marwin Gonzalez is the guy who came back from the break with like a beard that works. Like I like his beard.
Let's look at Marwin Gonzalez's beard.
Like
baseball beards are a thing. You need good facial hair. You need good baseball hair.
I notice facial hair a lot. It's true. That's like, but
Marwin Gonzalez's hair was professionally shaved and trimmed by like a sculptor.
Yes.
That is what happened. Wherever this guy goes and gets his hair done, that man is an artist.
Yeah, definitely. He's rocking the hair on his head and the facial hair in a way that nobody else in baseball is.
Yeah, no, he looks like he's got the facial hair of like a part-time club DJ.
Yeah.
Right. Who also sells cars, but like at a high level.
Yeah.
You can trust this guy.
You can trust him. Yeah, he really does. He looks very trustworthy. He really does. And I always really liked him. I think the name Marwan is incredibly beautiful. But and I liked Marwan Gonzalez so much as a Twin. I did not remember that he'd been on the Astros. And then I thought,
I didn't remember that either.
Yeah, but he didn't know. So because he's a good guy, he didn't know. Yeah.
About the trash can banging or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
I think my feeling about the trash can banging comes down to like they won the World Series the one year and got beat every other year. Yeah. So even if they were cheating all those other years, they didn't win a championship.
Yeah.
Right. So even that means they knew what pitch was coming and someone still got them out.
Right. And someone still got them out. And I think that did they? The animosity that the other teams have shown the Astros seems to me that it's not so much that you guys beat us, but that you guys made our lives so difficult because we had to have 5-7 sets of signs before we could start a game. You guys made our lives so difficult.
And now baseball signs are already stupid.
Yeah. Now that everybody knows, we're going to bean you from here to the end.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Altuve, did he get his ear back, or is he still he's still in a huge slump?
Yeah, I think Altuve's still not quite right.
Okay. Do you agree with those people who say that this is a bootleg season?
No, it's a real season. They're playing real games, right? Like your job is to beat the guy in front of you.
Yep.
You know, like if it came down to if I've got Mike Trout's $435 million contract, well, maybe I don't need to play this season because like I make plenty of money. But if I'm Byron Buxton, you know, I don't have a $435 million contract. I got to play.
Right.
You know, so even guys hitting 238, like apparently a lot of the league is, even those guys doing that, they need to be out there to hit 238 because they can't afford to sit at home and hope that there's no COVID-19 next year.
Right.
You know, or hell, hope that there's nothing worse that comes along, and then they would have just sat out a season, and then we miss an entire season of your career, right? And then you can't play again. Like, I don't want that for anybody. I think they don't want that. So as long as if you're a hitter, as long as somebody's up there chucking a ball, you're going to try to hit it. And if you're a pitcher, they just tell you to go get a guy out. You got to go try to get him out.
Yeah.
Right. The games are the real game. In fact, I think some of the rules that were rule changes for this COVID season, they should keep. Right. Like I don't mind playing teams in your geographical area, and that's a divisional. That's the way that goes. And I don't mind double headers only go to 7 innings.
Yep.
Right. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I don't know if I want all games to go to 7 innings, but I love the double headers at 7 innings. It's so much fun because you're like, oh well, you know, I got time. You're like, oh, I don't have time. This game is this game is serious. It's the 6th inning. This is serious.
I think that in the NBA they did a really interesting thing in the All-Star game, right? So they had the All-Star game and they had a couple different rules changed, but one major rule was no matter what the score was, in the 4th quarter, they would make the score within like 5 points or something, and then let them just play, right? Like doing that meant that in the 4th quarter, when it actually really matters, everybody's going to go all out to score points. They're not playing around anymore, right? And I think as long as like baseball's biggest like complaint that everybody has about it is that it's boring. It's not interesting, right? And I don't agree with that. But if you can do things to like make it exciting, and by you just make a few rules changes, you'll make it exciting. And I think that doubleheaders being 7 innings makes it exciting. I think that like in extra inning games, put a runner on second base. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, put a runner on second base. It makes a pitcher have to pitch differently.
Yeah.
I'm right with that. And I love the 3-batter rule. You know, no more of this changing out pitchers every hitter.
That was my favorite. That one is absolutely
stop that nonsense. You got a pitcher up there, he's got to face 3 batters.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. All right. I can live with that.
Yeah, because you know, I it really bummed me out. They got to the point where the later innings, which should be so taut with anticipation and excitement, they turned into these like, I'll just go and I'll make homemade spaghetti sauce while you guys figure out who's pitching, because
absolutely
this has literally become the most boring thing I've ever watched.
And that was the case also. Wasn't that also a case where like you knew that the bullpens had to be good because managers going straight to the bullpen? Yeah. Well, now bullpens matter because you don't want to mess your starting pitchers up, right? But like at least now they're not being wasted. You know, now I'm not throwing a guy out there just to make him pitch to one dude, or worse, take a guy out so the next guy that comes in can actually get the out with 2 pitches, and then I got to go to somebody else. Screw that.
Yeah.
I hate everything about that.
I can't believe I have. Okay, I'm not saying let's stop, but I can't believe I have spent so much of this of our time talking about an episode of the Bob Newhart Show from how many years?
But you got to put it. You get to put it in the show notes. They're going to learn something about Bob Newhart. I have a Bob Newhart thing.
Oh, okay.
Right? You don't live in Chicago. You don't live in Chicago, but the Bob Newhart Show was set in Chicago.
Yes.
Right? And if you watch the opening, if you're a Chicago guy and you watch the opening of Bob Newhart, it would drive you apeshit because everything's wrong. Bob Newhart is taking the train to get to work, apparently, right? But he's going in directions the train doesn't go, right? Getting off at stops that would not get him to allegedly where his office was, right? Like he's on the L at some point, and there's places where it's like, no, man, you can't. No, wait, hold on a second. What are you doing? You're walking the wrong way. Where are you trying to go? Like Bob Newhart is trying to shake a tail is what's happening, right? The man is onto him, and he's trying to. He knows he's being followed. He's trying to lose that guy before he gets to his office. That's what Bob Newhart is doing every open.
See, I wouldn't know that. I mean, if I hadn't been to Chicago myself as an adult, that would still be my impression of Chicago is the Bob Newhart Show. That's like basically all I would know. That original, and that's all I would have. I would have no other frame of reference.
I'm gonna watch the Bob Newhart Open and see if I can do like a quick diagram of where Bob Newhart is allegedly, according to the Open.
Where he lives, where he allegedly works, and how he's getting from one place to the next.
Bob, if a Chicagoan watches that Bob Newhart's Open, it's like the Open to get smart, right? Like, nothing makes any damn sense. He's got to be a super special secret agent going the way he's going, you know, changing train lines and shit. Like, yeah, you couldn't do it.
Oh well, Terry, please go and watch that episode because I'd really love to know if you found it funny or if there was anything amazing about it to you. Another thing that I thought was amazing is that they used the Chicago Cubs name so liberally. I don't know if a show could afford that right now.
Yeah, now you probably couldn't do it.
Yeah, where was that just something they didn't even have to pay
Seinfeld used the Yankees a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like they name dropped the Yankees constantly because George worked for them for a while.
That's right.
So maybe it's possible, but there's probably a bit where if you're doing a comedy show, there's a line you can't really cross. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that's
probably a little bit of worry about that.
Yeah. Another baseball, non-baseball but media-related thing is, I've heard it said by Sam Miller of ESPN that any movie or television show that has a baseball in it is therefore a baseball movie or television show. And so I saw Bill and Ted Face the Music last night, and it's apparently a baseball movie.
Because the baseball was in it.
Yeah, Babe Ruth is in it.
I
think Yankee Stadium is in it, but only for a second here or there. You know what this is? This is following the Christmas.
This is the Christmas movie rule. Like Die Hard as a Christmas movie. This is why this is.
Yeah.
Christmas is mentioned 5 times, so therefore it must be a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can agree with that. I don't think having baseball reference will make it a baseball movie.
Well,
and I think there's enough good baseball movies that you don't have to try to glom on to other movies.
You don't have to add to the critical mass by just picking up anything you can find. Yeah. So the only one that I ever agreed with that it was a baseball movie was Captain Marvel. I think that actually really was a baseball movie.
Okay.
Now the baseball played a role in that movie that conveyed plot and it also conveyed theme and feeling that I thought was really meaningful. That had to do with creating an image of what a nation is, which is something that baseball has played a big role in that throughout this nation's history. Well, not throughout our history, but throughout baseball's history.
Right.
Baseball has played a big role in conveying what we are.
One of our birds fell off a perch and just made a whole lot of noise.
I said Captain Marvel was a genuine baseball movie and your bird fell off its perch. So,
I think this bird probably was like taking a nap or something and just wasn't paying attention and just fell off and now is like sitting on a ledge sheepishly like, okay, you didn't see that. Nobody was watching.
Oh, I love that.
No one saw me do that.
No, they see cats. A cat would say, I meant to do that.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. So anyway, I dragged you off on that, and I didn't mean to. So Bob Newhart, all my cats, the whole history of all my cats and their names, and but enough baseball that this is. But we haven't talked about now our 2 favorite people. We haven't talked about my boyfriend.
Yep. Nando.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Nando had a good week.
He had a good week. He's just going to keep having good weeks. He's consistently remarkable and remarkably consistent. And I think when it comes to the best, okay, so I know he was mic'd up for the bottom of the second yesterday during the Fox broadcast. And I thought he had some really encouraging things to say about working hard and about, producing and about staying loose. And he was all the time being incredibly athletic on the field. But the thing that got picked up and booted around was when they asked him who on the team had the best hair. And now I'm fond of this kind of question, but to me, that Nando has the best hair in baseball.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that they would think to ask him this question.
Right? And
have they actually paid attention to Nando's hair?
Yeah. I mean, my goodness, he has the best hair in America.
Now, on his team, if he said Chris Paddock, a case could be made.
Yep. They asked him about Paddock. And
Chris Paddock has what we would call flowing locks.
Yes, he does. And Clevenger is hair. I don't know if it's flowing locks, but there is hair there, and there's
hair.
Of it. Yeah, but come on, Fernando Tatis Jr. has the best hair. And next week I'll talk to you about his arm stuff, but not. I'll need props for that, but I have some. So
I'm gonna give our fans the sort of like the rundown on Nando here. Nando. Oh, he's 6'3". I didn't realize he was 6'3". Holy crap.
3,
he's
yeah. Tall, yeah. And long. He's got what Scherzer is, just very long.
Yeah, you're going to have to, like, be on your tiptoes to hang out with this dude.
Yep.
He's hitting .307 with 14 home runs and 37 RBIs and 7 stolen bases.
Wow.
Yeah. 14 and 7.
Yep.
7 stolen bases is pretty damn incredible for a guy who's also still hitting for power, right? Like, if he hits a damn single, don't worry, he's going to steal second, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, he is. And, I think everything about him is just about perfect. I mean, that I know. I don't need to know any more than what I know because I like thinking perfection. But he's funny. He's loose. He's a leader.
He scored 9 runs this week.
He scored.
That's significant.
Yeah, and all the miracles at shortstop, catching balls that nobody should catch, yanking them out of the air, turning the double plays. He's just got it all. And I hate to have anybody go ahead of Tim Anderson because first time I ever saw Tim Anderson play, he just come back from paternity leave, and he had the names of his daughters written on his cleats.
Oh.
And I was like, ooh. And he was like leading the AL in batting average at the time. He was hitting something like 370.
He won the batting title last year.
Yeah, but all he wanted to talk about was his girls. And I just, I love it. I got a little choked up. But so I hate to have anybody become a better shortstop in my mind than Tim Anderson, but it has happened. Yeah, sure. Nando Tatis Jr. is it. And
Nando. His internet fantasy girlfriends call him Nando.
Yeah, that's right. We call him Nando. We're not afraid. He's our boyfriend. We can call him Nando. Yeah. And then what about Mookie Betts? Because I didn't see any Mookie Betts this week. I missed.
Mookie Betts was also still Mookie Betts. He was still incredible. This week, which like some of it is like there were a couple home runs and really good hits in Dodgers games this week, and it looked like the kind of like they didn't look like they were spectacular. Like a lot of like the outfielders just kind of turning around, doing a little bit of jog, and then just letting the ball go. Like that's how good they were. Like no doubters,
wow.
But they didn't sound like rocket shots. You know what I mean? Which is kind of hilarious considering the Dodgers hitters are as good as they are.
Yeah. But Mookie, Mookie?
I'm gonna look him up.
Okay.
I'm gonna see what he did this week. Okay, here we go. I'm looking at Mookie now. Because so many of the highlights I saw were there was a whole lot of like other guys like Byron Buxton and Keston Hiura.
Yeah.
And Adam Duvall of your Atlanta Braves.
Adam Duvall. And my Atlanta Braves. Yeah, my favorite team. The team I really wish I could love. I just wish they would do the right thing and make me love them even more.
Yes, do the right thing already. Get it done.
Yeah, get it done. I will love you forever.
There's something else that Atlanta has going on. What can we use? Can we use Coca-Cola in some kind of capacity?
Should be able to.
Mookie Betts this week. Oh my God. He hit 2 home runs, 7 RBI, 1 stolen base, but he hit 462.
Wow. Mookie. Yeah. He's still it.
13 home runs, 30 RBI, 6 stolen bases, hitting 316.
So is it still the case that Mike Trout is the best player in baseball, or is it Mookie Betts?
I think Mike Trout's still the best player in baseball, but Mookie Betts could make a solid argument for it.
Yeah. Why is Mike?
There's a 1 and 1A because I'm not seeing a reason why Mookie Betts ain't the best player in baseball.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. I don't see it either. I think,
and also, you know what it is? It's the stolen base numbers. Yeah. Like, even if Mike Trout right now, it's got 13 home runs and 31 RBI, but Mike Trout, I think, is the actual, like, RBI leader in the league.
Yeah.
But he probably doesn't have six damn stolen bases to go with it.
Right.
Like, that's the thing where I think it this year, Mookie Betts is having a better year than Mike Trout is, I suspect. I can compare them. Let's do a quick compare and contrast here. Let us find Trouty. Friends call him Trouty.
Yeah. That'll be his official nickname for Dropped Third Strike. Would be Trouty.
Right, Trouty.
Yeah, because it has to run with Mookie and
that's how baseball does. Yeah, that's how baseball does nicknames.
And if they're all cats, then they're going to respond to that E sound at the end anyway. So if you call like Trout, he might not turn around. But if you're like Trouty, he turns.
Yeah, because they can hear that noise. Yeah.
Yeah. And cats are cool. It's very cool to be a cat. Excellent to be a cat.
I think our cat conversation works out perfectly well for our Legion of Fan because I think they're all cat fans.
Oh, good.
All right, so the difference between them is Mike Trout has 15 home runs, 38 RBIs, but only 1 stolen base, and he's hitting 295.
Okay.
So if we're just looking at it like comparing them this year, then for sure Mookie Betts is the better player.
Yeah.
Mookie Betts' OPS is 1.018, and Mike Trout's OPS, which is on-base percentage plus slugging percentage, is 1.071.
Wow.
Like, they're really close, and that's like a solid number that you can use to compare different baseball players, right? Like,
so you're right, 1 and 1A, and either one can be either one.
And Fernando Tatis is 14, 37, and 7 stolen bases, and his OPS is 1.043.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe that's yeah. So why don't we put it this way? Maybe when you get to best player in baseball, you can't do it. But what you could say is that there is a whole lot of talent compressed over there in Southern California.
I think I was just gonna say that. I think California has a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if the rest of the league needs to find a way to play in California.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Because we're not even talking about Rendon, but we will be, right? Because sure were, and we will be again. So we got Trout, Rendon, Betts, Tatis Jr., and Machado. Yeah. I mean, we got every reason to just sit around and watch Southern California baseball.
Totally true. All right. What do we do? Like an hour and a half?
You're gonna do the senior menu.
I'm gonna do the senior menu team.
I'm gonna get fixated on the National League East. That's what I'm. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
There's no game on in the background. There's no game today that you want to watch?
I just didn't put it on yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't test our standing.
Last week I thought it worked really well. That you had a game on in the background. It was
especially because it was the Padres, and I had my boyfriend on the TV.
Hilarious.
Totally.
His nickname is El Nino.
Yeah, El Nino. That's perfect. He's not the first one. I think I'm getting old enough now that I'm hearing that. Somebody they said was called La Máquina. I don't remember.
That's Albert Pujols.
It was, but now
that's Pujols. There's a new kid. Okay, really?
There's a new kid, yeah.
Not going to sit well with Pujols.
And they do it with no sense of history. They don't say he's La Máquina like Albert Pujols. They just say he's La Máquina,
Yes, yes. In Lucha Libre, he'd be La Máquina Junior. You know what I mean? He'd be La Máquina Junior or La Máquina 2, La Máquina 3.
La Máquina 1A.
Yeah, they would just give a number or just automatically make him junior.
Okay, one more question and then we'll go.
Okay.
SportsCenter, I don't know if they still have those ads where they feature baseball players, but suppose they do. Who should be the first guy that SportsCenter gets right now to star in an ad for SportsCenter?
I actually like them using guys who aren't playing in major markets. So I like guys like Keston Hiura for that. You know, I like Freddie Freeman and Andrew McCutchen. He's playing in Philadelphia, but he's a former MVP. He's resurgent. He's been really good this week. I like when you use guys that aren't in LA and not in New York. And I know this is the way that MLB thinks about things is it's got to be New York and it's got to be LA. But sometimes I feel like you know what? Screw that, man. Like it can be Milwaukee, it can be Atlanta, it can be Philadelphia. You know, it could be Chicago, right?
Yeah.
It could be any of these places. But like, baseball has so many great cities. Spread it around a little bit. Like, Kyle Lewis in Seattle. Like, he is awesome. Like, give those guys the ability to be in ads, because I just think you should spread it around. Do commercials do spots with baseball players doing baseball things, right? To drum up interest in even the smaller markets, you know? Because for sure, you can have it be Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts of the Dodgers, right? But you're going to put the Dodgers on a lot, right? You should, like, make it somebody who isn't those guys sometimes, who are also spectacular players, so that should you have, if it's the Dodgers versus the Mariners, you have a reason to look at the Mariners, not just the Dodgers, right? So at some point, you're going to have a game on. It's going to be the Mariners versus the Twins, right? And then our stars are going to be Kyle Lewis and Miguel Sano, right? But that should be great. You know, show us these guys so that, like, when you have them on your TV or on our TVs, right? Like, we're like, oh shit, that guy was hilarious in that ad. You know, I remember that guy. He did something really ridiculous with chicken.
Okay,
you know?
So we've got Josh Donaldson, Marwin Gonzalez, and Byron Buxton are all in the ESPN lunchroom, and they're all ordering from the senior menu.
Okay.
That's one of the ads, right? And then
you got it. Nelson Cruz has got to be there, because I looked it up. He's the oldest guy on the Twins. Nelson Cruz, born in 1980.
The thing about Nelson Cruz, though, is that he left the Rangers, right, and went to the Twins, and he got younger. I don't know how that happened, but
I think he did. He's Benjamin Button. He is aging backwards.
Totally, And I love it. I mean, I like this guy's like this.
Nelson Cruz was old when he was with the Mariners. And he's the best damn hitter. He's like the best hitter on the Twins.
Oh, he is. And for second year running, he's wonderful. And the other ones that I would put on a SportsCenter ad would be actually the 4 starters in the lineup for the White Sox, because it's never happened before that you had 1, 2, 3, 4 were all Cuban players.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And that is that's just so unique that they should milk that for something, you know? Because it's just so unique. Don't let these unique moments pass you by. So
they should be making sandwiches with roasted pork and pickles.
Oh yes, they should. And hot mustard, hot brown mustard.
Absolutely.
Woo!
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good place to finish.
This Cuban thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Cuban thing. It's lunchtime, Cuban people. Thank you for feeding us and making. And the coffee. Thank you for the coffee, and thank you for the baseball.
Yeah, Cuban coffee.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Someone should walk into the clubhouse where the Cuban players are, and they're being incredibly Cuban, right? Like the strong coffee, the awesome cigars, the great sandwiches, right? You know, they should be that should be the thing. 1 through 4, all hanging out. Just being themselves, celebrating all things Cuba. I like it.
Yeah, me too.
It is great.
All right, so we solved everything today. But
we did.
There'll be all kinds of things to solve next week.
1 more week of us solving everything in baseball.
Yeah, I'm very excited for next week. And the solutions that will present themselves. I'm very excited. I'm having a lot of fun.
All right, sign us out, Beth.
Okay, this is Beth Davies Stofka, resident ethicist and Nando girlfriend, and signing off from this week's Dropped Third Strike with thanks to my friend Terry Gant. You want to say bye?
Take it easy. Goodbye.
Easy. Bye. And my favorite. I loved it. Turn into the love, people.
Later.
Okay, bye. Bye, Terry.